folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Welcome. It is Friday morning. Friday. It's Friday. Friday, January 31st, 2020. How the fuck are you guys? Oh. Hope you guys are doing well. Today I am talking YouTube.
Dave, this is a boring fucking topic, man.
Hey, you know what? I decided to do this because I wanted to get it out of the way. I wanted a bit of a change of pace for this. I think I spat on the mic. I'm spitting all over the place now. I'm spitting all over the cat hairs and shit. I wanted to talk about YouTube and just offer my thoughts and some advice out there to maybe those of you that are thinking about getting, beginning a channel. Maybe you have a channel, but it's not really going anywhere. And let me preface this by saying I am by no means a gigantic channel. I mean, look at me, right? I mean, I'm barely at 20,000 subscribers. Now, that it's often relative, right? To somebody who has 1,000 subs, 20,000 subs is gigantic. To somebody who has 150,000 subs, 20,000 subs is completely ridiculous, right? So it is relative to a degree, and I'm aware of that. But I think I bring an interesting perspective to the table because I'm relatively new to the YouTube scene. Now I've had this channel since 2006. A lot of you guys know that, but I spent the first, 10, 11 years essentially not doing too much with it. I think I had about 3 years ago, I think I had maybe barely 800 subs or something like that. And that was primarily gained because I was uploading all these, experimental Halloween little short fan films and all that kind of stuff. And then it was in 2017 when it was sort of made official. I think, did Carpenter come on board in 2016? I forget when he came on board, when that was announced. But anyway, it was 2017, certainly in late August, beginning of September of 2017, when Jamie Lee Curtis was announced, as coming back to Halloween 2018, all that kind of jazz. And I was really excited about it. Halloween being my favorite horror movie of all time. And by the way, if Dave Vanderhoff, I think it's Dave Vanderhoff, right? Dave Vanderhoff, if you're watching, buddy, is it Dave? I think it's Dave. My God, if I get your first name wrong, I apologize, but I think it is. Thanks for sending this over, man. Really appreciate it. Awesome stuff. So yeah, and then I started to put my face out there more because I was passionate to talk about Halloween, and the rest is history. Now, for those of you that don't know, my full-time job is a professional voice actor. That's my day-to-day job. That's what I do. That's how I make my living. I don't make my living from YouTube. Everything that's raised from YouTube goes right back into the channel to upgrade equipment or get guests on, which we're going to be doing this year, and all that kind of jazz. So, but I love doing this stuff. And because I don't have a traditional 9-to-5 job, right? I don't have an office I go to. My commute is from the bedroom to the basement, essentially. And I have a home studio. I'm able to, depending on what I'm doing, depending on what my day is like, I'm able to actually do this kind of thing, which is really cool because not everybody can, right? I mean, I made a tweet the other day, tipping my hat again, which I've done on a couple of occasions to fellow horror guys in our space, just saying that it never ceases to amaze me the quantity of quality they dish out because, it's one thing to have the luxury of being at home and have, and being these things sort of easily accessible at a moment's notice, but it's an entirely different thing when you have a 9-to-5 job, you got a couple of kids, you're coming home from working 8, 9, 10, maybe even 12 hours, right? And then, you got to come in, and maybe it's a good thing, like maybe it's your relief, but, to come home from a long day, have dinner, deal with the kids and all that kind of stuff, and then you got to go into wherever you do your shit and do your shit, that makes the day even longer. So my hat continues to go off to those of you that do that, because I don't have any children. Obviously, I don't have a 9-to-5 job per se. I'm essentially my own boss. I have agents, but it's not like I'm answering to anybody particularly. So seriously. Seriously. Amazing shit. Because I find this hard and I have maybe more time to do it. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so my advice is the point of this video is to give you some perspective on what I've noticed over the couple years I've been really doing this kind of thing. And the first thing that is very apparent to me is that if you are, and this is going to sound funny, but it's true. I'm not going to bullshit you, hence the no BS advice here, okay? If you are in a relationship, and you are either married or you're in a long-term, relationship, whatever the case is, it is imperative that you have the support of your partner, because doing this kind of thing takes a lot of work. I've noticed it as well. It's one of the reasons why I made the transition from standalone videos to these live shows. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to do standalone videos. I did one the other day. But as my schedule gets busier and busier and things begin to happen, like, of course, I'm playing Freddie in Dylan's new Nightmare. I'm moving towards pre-production on It's Me, Billy. I've got all the voice work I'm doing and the channel. And things it's busy, man. 2 dudes and some bullshit as well, right? Tony, if you're watching, how you doing, buddy? So it's crazy. It's crazy. It was my girlfriend that gave me, she's incredibly supportive. And she pushed me to do this. Like, Dave, you love talking movies. You're a movie guy. You got to get out there and do this, man. You got to go do it. To have that level of support, knowing there's somebody behind you that is supportive and that it's okay if you got to go do your video. It's okay. I realize this is really up high. There we go. Anyway, it's okay if you got to go, you know what? Something breaks, something Halloween has broken, something Elm Street, something, whatever your space is, you got to go do a video, right? It's so wonderful to have the support from your significant other, whoever that is, whether you're a dude, whether you're 2 dudes, whether you're 2 girls, whether you're a dude and a girl, whatever it is, to have that support from your significant other is vital. Because if you are in a relationship and you don't have that, then every time you talk about it, every time you want to go and do a video, every time you want to, something breaks and you got to go, it always becomes an area of contention. It's always, I got to go, you guys got to go do this. And you don't want that, right? You don't want that. You want to be able to have that support, knowing that there is that somebody there cheering you on, going, yes, fucking knock it out of the park, man. You know what I mean? That's important. Now, you can take that and apply that to life as well. I mean, that's important to have that in life. But because this kind of thing, if you really want to make a go at it, you got to have that support. Now, if you're single, well, who cares, right? I mean, you don't really have to worry about that, right? You don't have a partner, you're not splitting your time and attention necessarily, because you are afforded the luxury to be a little more selfish, right? So that's okay, because you can do that. You don't necessarily have to answer to anybody, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to answer to anybody necessarily. But that is so important. Having that support from somebody in your life, especially if it's a significant other, is really important. The other thing is that you have to understand that you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Maybe you have a YouTube channel, right? And maybe it's only got, 50 subs or something. But you look at me, you look at people like Cody Leach and The Horror Show and Wham and Drum Dums, or maybe even some of the bigger channels. Maybe you're looking at, I don't know, Screen Junkies or Collider or, whatever the case is. I don't know. You got to ask yourself, what do I bring to the table that's different? Now, that doesn't mean that you're the only person doing it. There's a saying in voiceover, and it's really in the entertainment industry as a whole, but there's a saying in voiceover that the last thing the voiceover industry needs is another voice. We're saturated. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of voice actors out, maybe even millions of voice actors out there. Not all of them are good, okay? I mean, but there are a lot of voices. What the voiceover industry doesn't need another voice. What they need is you. And what the crux of that saying is what you bring to the table, your own quirky personality, your own identity, your own brand, right? What makes you you? So in other words, if you want to do a YouTube channel and people like me and everybody else in the space inspires you, that's great, but then don't just do what we're doing, right? Don't just go out there and just start copying. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take inspiration. Of course not. That doesn't mean that at all. But if you're just doing what everybody else is doing, you're just going to blend in, and you want to stand out, right? So that's important. When I started doing this channel, I didn't have a plan. I really didn't care where it went. And that's not because I don't appreciate everybody who's tuning in. It's because I didn't want to have unrealistic expectations. So I just, on the advice of my girlfriend, was like, you should just go out, put yourself out there, just do that, right? So I went out there and I did it. But I just wanted to talk about Halloween. I wanted to talk about Halloween. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I noticed, now this doesn't mean that there wasn't anybody talking about this, okay? But I noticed in the videos that I was watching that there seemed to be a void. There seemed to be, people were talking about similar things, but they weren't talking about the deeper layers of Halloween, the psychological aspects of Halloween. There were very few people even acknowledging that the original was supposed to be a one-off, and there were like all those things. I'm looking at this going, wow, this is stuff that people aren't even taking into consideration and yada, yada, yada. So I saw a void where I could maybe step in and kind of say, hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I know I'm new here, but have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever thought about that, right? And then, of course, it took off from there. And then naturally, I want to talk about Star Wars, and I want to talk about all those things. But I'm not a movie reviewer, right? Not that there's anything wrong with people who review movies. I think that's awesome. But that's not my strength, per se. I think I could, and when I mean it's not my strength, what I mean is my desire. It takes a lot of energy. I mean, you just ask Cody Leach, you ask Drum Dums, you ask the guys over at Wham, you ask Jimmy Champagne, you ask, just go down the list of people that do consistent reviews when every movie comes out. I mean, it takes so much energy, so much time. And it's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that I look at that and I go, that's not me. I can't do that. It would be so, my hat goes off to them. They do it brilliantly. Me, I think my strength lies in more commentating, insightful commentating. And if through that commentating, it ends up being a sort of unorthodox review, well, that's great. But it's not a formal review in the traditional sense. So it's very important that I knew going in what I was bringing to the table. You have to know that. You can't just go in, I like what they're doing, so I'm going to do that. Because you also have to remember a very hard truth. There's a truth in voiceover, but it's in the entertainment industry as a whole. And it's a little saying that goes, you can teach technique, but you can't teach talent. You either have it or you don't. That doesn't mean that you can't get better and you can't learn and get better. But there are people in this world that are just born performers. There are people in this world that just exude personality, and people in this world that are just charismatic, and people in this world that are just not. I hate to say it, okay? But there are a lot of people that I see out there, the channels, that are not going to go anywhere. And it's not necessarily because of the content, it's because of their personality. It's because they're just not engaging to watch. They're just not interesting to watch. And if you don't have that level of personality, then you have to rely on your content, right? If you have an engaging personality, if you have a dynamic personality, if you have charisma, then sometimes you can get away with talking about anything. And people will tune in because they're so enamored by you. It's you they're tuning in for, right? 9 times out of 10, when you listen to your favorite radio show, like people listen to the radio anymore, but I guess people do. When you listen to your favorite radio personality or you tune into your favorite talk show, you're tuning in for the personality. You're tuning in. Now, does it help when the show is interesting and the topic is, that's great. But are you always tuning in to Joe Rogan because of his guest? Sometimes you are. But in a lot of cases, you just really like Joe Rogan. So you tune in, he could be talking about fucking ketchup, chips, and orange juice, and you tune in and sit and listen to him, right? Not everybody has the luxury of being a born performer, a born actor, coming from that sort of background or that kind of family where you're naturally socially mature. You're confident. The camera loves you, right? That's important to remember that. If you're somebody that doesn't naturally have that on-screen presence, you have to work a little harder. It's just the reality. It's just the reality. So it's very vital then that you find yourself doing this because you are really passionate about the material, not just because you see everybody else doing it. It looks like fun, so I'm going to do it. You really got to have something to say. You really have to have something that you want to say, something that maybe nobody else is talking about, or maybe something that you want to add your 2 cents on, right? And you have to not give a fuck about what anybody says. I can't tell you how many times I've seen comments in the comment section, or my assistant has told me about comments I just laugh it off. I think I've been accused of everything. I've been accused of having 50 different accounts and commenting on things. I've been accused of having other channels. Which I don't. I have a VoiceMann channel for my YouTube, where I upload my voiceover stuff. But that's it. I've been accused of having other channels. I've been accused of, I'm an arrogant, self-centered, egotistical prick. I've been accused of doing it. You can't worry about it. Now, what you do is you just put yourself out there, you speak your mind, you do it maturely, you do it politely. If you're somebody like me who likes to poke fun and be satirical and give a little wink to the audience, you just have some fun. But you got to let the chips fall where they may. You can't go into this looking to be liked, because you won't be. Your job is not to be liked. Your job is to express how you feel and let the chips fall where they may. That's so important. But you gotta have your brand. What is your brand? What is your identity, right? Now, you don't have to think about this really deeply, but essentially what I mean by brand is, who am I? What do I bring to the table, right? If you look at me, for example, I would think that somebody would probably look at my brand as, he's not a movie commentator. He's loud. He's outspoken. He has industry experience, which is, that's a luxury I have that not everybody has. But that it's not like I'm fucking, George Lucas or something here. I mean, let's put it into perspective as well, right? I'm always going to tell you how I feel. That's part of the brand. Now, do other channels have that as well? Sure. But when I was first beginning, I made that very apparent out of the gate. Do you remember? And I'm not suggesting you go and do this. Don't go do what I've done. But the reason I said from the very beginning, and I knew some people were going to take it like I was an egotistical, arrogant prick. I knew that. But the reason why I said from the beginning that this is how I feel, I couldn't care less whether you agree with me or not. Sounds kind of harsh, right? Like, Dave, that's kind of harsh. Yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm basically letting the viewers know that this is how I feel. Don't waste your time and energy in the comment section writing thesis about how I'm wrong. Unless you say, hey, Dave, you made a mistake here, and you can prove it through factual sort of quantifiable evidence, right? Unless it's not an opinion, it's an informed opinion, right? You say, actually, Dave, you made a mistake here. It's this, this, this. And that's happened a few times. And I'll comment back going, oh, yeah, totally. Oh, you know what? You're bang on. But I say that because I want the expectations to be there that this is how I feel about something. My job is not, if you don't agree with me, that's okay. I couldn't care less. Sounds harsh, right? But it's just a blunt way of saying it's okay for you to feel the way you do, and it's okay for me to feel the way I do. Don't come to my channel looking to be, or don't come to my channel for me telling you how to think, right? That was all part of the brand that I was creating from the very beginning. And I knew I had to do that to stand out. I knew I had to do that because I didn't see a lot of people doing that in this space. So I knew and that's truly how I feel. It's not like I'm making that up. That is how I feel. So I knew that that was an in for me. I knew that I wanted to be able to say that and sort of, let people know who I was and what I was bringing to the table. And you have to find that within yourself. I see so many channels, and I did this yesterday in preparation for today's show. I looked at a lot of channels that are in our space, I guess, have, a few hundred subs. And, as the saying goes, God bless them. But they're just, they may not have the personality, or B, they're just doing what everybody else is doing. And it's like, why would I watch you when I can watch this person over here who's got 20 times the personality you do and is saying the exact same information? Right? That's what it's about. So you have to, sometimes you have to temper your expectations, and you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? You have to understand that sometimes maybe it's not your thing, right? But branding is really important. And again, so to recap, support is really important. If you are in a relationship, you must have the support from your significant other, because this takes a lot of time. Number 2 is branding, right? Find out who you are, what you bring to the table that is different from everybody else. It doesn't mean you got to be night and day, but there's got to be there's got to be something there, something that makes you stand, something, even if it's small, something that people are going to tune into you for over somebody else, right? Like, for example, nobody's going to come to me. Cody Leach does some of the best horror reviews on the web, period, right? Nobody's coming to me for movie reviews, right? They're going to go to Cody Leach because that's what he does. And he does it really well. He does it better than I could. Let me see here. And talk about what you know. That's the next thing. Talk about what you know. Part of your brand is what your channel is going to be about. So don't make it a mishmash of things unless you have the personality to keep people's engagement, right? Like, for example, with my channel, or like the guys at Wham, right? Mike and Jay are some of the funniest fucking fucktards. They are. They're so funny, right? And they do movie reviews, but part of their branding early on was, just want to let you guys know every now and then we might do a skit or two and just like totally random shit, just so you guys know. So they know, so the viewers know that, hey, we get a bunch of this stuff. But if they want to upload something funny and silly from time to time, because that's part of their personality, that's part of who they are, that's okay too, right? So you instill that from the beginning, right? Which is what they did. And every now and then I do that too. But it's important that when you are figuring out what to talk about, don't then say, oh, look, Dave's doing a funny skit in Whams. I'm going to do one, and it comes out of left field. Your viewers will be taken back by it, especially if you don't have the personality or charisma to carry it. And what I'm saying may sound harsh, but it's true. Not everybody out there has on-screen presence. It's just a fact. Okay? It's just a fact. And some have more than others. That is the reality, right? So it's very important. Support, figure out your brand, what makes you a bit different than everybody else, and what are you going to talk about? Talk about what you know, okay? Don't talk about something that you have a mild interest in. Talk about your passion. Listen, if you are a diehard fucking Phantom Menace fan, talk about it. Talk about it. People will find you. If you build it, they will come. And it's totally true. It's totally true. Find out what you're passionate about. If it's if it's movies, talk about movies, but talk about them in the ways that you know. Don't stretch beyond what you know to make yourself seem more intelligent and more versatile than you really are. You don't want to do that. Okay? You don't want to start talking about the deep psychological layers of the original Halloween if you don't know your fucking ass from your elbow with what that's all about. You don't want to do that. Leave it to people who understand that, right? But maybe there's something that you bring to the table that I don't bring to the table and that Cody Leach doesn't bring to the table. And maybe there's some insights that you have that we haven't talked about yet. Bring it, right? That's what you want to do. You want to do that, Okay. And then naturally, organically through when one video turns into 2 and 2 turns into 3 and 3 turns into 4, it's always a rough start, but you'll find your groove. You'll find things that you're passionate about. You'll find, tiny little insights that you want to, discover and look, and maybe you'll start doing some research on some things and then you'll do, a video on that. Just really, really talk about what you know. And then let me see here. Let's talk about subs, views, and comments. Don't fucking worry about your subscribers. Really don't. Now, are subscribers important? Yes. I love all you guys that are subscribed to me. Of course. But here's the reality. Just because people are subscribed to you doesn't mean they're tuning into you. It doesn't mean they're watching you. Have you ever been to a YouTube channel that has like 100,000 subs, but for some strange fucking reason, they're only averaging 700 views a video? We've all seen it. Are those subs paid for? Maybe. Or are they just uploading shit that nobody fucking likes? And they gave the illusion that they were going to be talking about something, and then they steered off and completely changed their brand and their identity, right? And then people just aren't tuning in anymore. And it's so easy to buy subs. I could go on right now and buy subs. I never have, but I could do it. Lots of people do it. Lots of people have done it. The problem is they don't factor in the fact that the subs don't correlate to the views. So if you also don't buy views, then it's going to look really completely one-sided. Now, and I'm not suggesting that is what they've done. But listen, you can be subscribed to a cable package. I know they're going the way of the dodo bird now, but back in the day, you can subscribe to all the sports packages and the movie channels and the CNN and the NBC and the Fox and the whatever. But that doesn't mean you're watching them all. Just because I have, ESPN in my package doesn't mean that I'm watching ESPN. Doesn't mean that I'm tuning into ESPN. But if you were to look at who subscribed to it, I would show up. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind, that just because somebody has a lot of subscribers, that just means that there's a lot of people subscribed to them. But really what it's about is viewer engagement, right? It's viewer engagement. It's views is more of an indication, and comments is more of an indication than subs. People seem to really get that. I'm 20,000, 15,000, 30,000, 100,000, 900,000. What? That's great. That's great. But what are your analytics in terms of views? What are your comments like? Have you built a community where people tune into you and, want to laugh with you and want to get excited with you and want to share with you? Or is it just hollow? It's just hollow. There is no community. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do here. And what a lot of people, I think, are starting to see with the direction of my channels, I'm trying to build a community. We're not always going to agree. Of course not, right? But that's okay. And I know there are people out there that think I'm an egotistical, arrogant prick, but that's because I'm blunt. It's because I'm blunt. But at the end of the day, I'm always saying it with a wink, unless I'm actually talking about something that I'm dead serious about. But you know what? There's always going to be people out there that don't jive with your personality. They don't like the way you look. They don't like the way you sound. They don't like the way you come across. You rub them the wrong way. Fuck them. Who cares? Who cares, man? Who cares? I mean, is that why you're doing it? Are you doing a YouTube channel to be liked? Because that's the wrong thing to do it. Are you doing a YouTube channel to gain 50,000 subs? Because that's the wrong thing. Have you ever noticed? I don't know if anybody here has ever noticed. And maybe I should be doing this. I don't know. But I never have. In every single video I have ever done on my channel, I have not once asked anybody to subscribe to me. Have you ever noticed that? And now I'm not knocking those that do. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Or put up the notification bell and the click here and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the 3 years I've been putting myself out there like this, not once have I ever asked anybody to subscribe to me. And do you want to know why I did that or haven't done that? It was a social experiment, really. The reason why I decided to do that and will continue is because I wanted to see if I could gain subscribers for better or worse, thousands or not, organically, based purely on me, not me telling you to, but me. Now, when I look at my analytics, certainly there are about 40% of my views come from people that are not subscribed to me. So can you imagine if those 40% were also subscribed to me? I might be over 35,000 views or 35,000 subs. Who knows? But I've always taken that mindset because I didn't want, and again, there's nothing wrong with people that do. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Nothing wrong with that at all. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to do it a bit differently. And I'm going to, this is a bit of a sociological experiment, right? Are people going to subscribe to me if I don't tell them to? Are people going to subscribe to me if I don't have at the end of my video or at the beginning, a moment where I say, hey, if you're new to the channel, click that notification bell and don't forget to hit subscribe. And there's nothing wrong with people that do that. But I was like, I'm not going to do that. I want to see if people are going to subscribe to me anyway. And people do. But are there a lot of people that may have subscribed to me if I told them to and that haven't yet? Maybe. But it's sort of become a thing now on my channel. It's become part of my brand, a tiny little bit, a little bit of a shtick kind of thing, right? So, and I'm not suggesting that you don't do that, okay? But I wanted to see if I could gain subs just based purely on me rather than asking somebody to. So, yeah, I never have. If you go back and watch all my, now I will say, if you want to follow me on Facebook, the link in the description, in the meantime, in between time, blah, blah, all that. But not once have I ever asked anybody to subscribe to me. So it's just so important to understand, have that support, figure out what you bring to the table that's different from everybody else. Figure out whether or not you're doing it because you really have a passion to talk about this, or you just think it looks like fun. Because if you think it just looks like fun, you're probably going to burn yourself out really quickly because you're not really passionate about doing it. You just like, it looks like fun, and then the realities of this take over, right? It's like acting in movies looks like fun until you realize that you're acting for 10 minutes a day and waiting around for 9 hours. I mean, like, voiceover looks like fun until you realize that it's really not about your voice. It's about your acting and performing abilities. And there's a lot of work that goes into it, and then you get into a booth and you're doing multiple takes and talking with the director and the casting director, and you realize that you're sweating and it's not, I mean, it's the end product of what you see doesn't show you all the work and all the behind the stuff that goes into it to make that a reality, which is why I made that tweet saying I tip my hat to these guys, to Jimmy Champagne and Cody Leach and Drum Dums and Wham and Lewis from the Nerd Report and Cecil from the Horror Show and anybody else and Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards and anybody I didn't mention who is doing this really on a level of consistency and gaining a following and who's got children or full-time job. I mean, it's amazing to me. It really is. But that's important. Support, brand identity, figuring out who you are, what you bring to the table, and whether or not you're really doing it because you want to do it or because it just looks like fun. If you're like, no, I'm there, yeah, that's total fuck, I can do it. Yeah. Well, then figure it out, right? Figure out what you want to talk about what you know, and don't worry about the subs. Don't worry about, don't do it for that. Do it because you're passionate and you believe in what you're talking about, for better or worse. When I jumped on and started talking about Halloween, I knew there were going to be people that were going to think I was an arrogant prick. I knew that. I knew that there were going to be people, that there were going to be people that were going to not really understand that it's part of my shtick. It's part of my presentation. I'm loud and, hey, what's going on, everybody? All that, because I'm a performer at the end of the day, right? I knew that. I understand, but I didn't care. I didn't care because I was really passionate about getting the information out there because I thought I brought something of value to the table. And you have to think that as well. You have to feel that, I've got some value that I bring to the table and I want to let people know that. And then you have to be prepared to let the chips fall where they may. But you also have to understand that a lot of the times people don't just tune in for the content, they tune in for the personality. They tune in because the person is engaging, dynamic, interesting, well-spoken, whatever the case is. The people in the chat room here know know this. And I don't mean about me. I mean about other people that you watch. You know whether it's in this space or not. If somebody is, hey man, what's going on? So it's not nearly as engaging as somebody who's going, hey, what's going on, everybody? So I want to talk some. Do you know what I'm saying? 100%. The other thing, which is really important that I didn't mention here yet, but I will now, is the fact that, your equipment. Okay. Really, really important. Now, keep this in mind. I'm not expecting you to run out and buy thousands of dollars worth of gear immediately, but keep in mind that if you are looking to do this on a consistent basis, if you are really looking to make a run at this, shooting it on your phone, in the dark, with your head on one side of the screen because you can't see yourself is probably not the best thing to do. You have to invest in certain things. You have to invest in a good microphone. You have to invest in a good camera. You have to invest, and that's about it, actually. I mean, you don't need the setup I have. I'm a voiceover guy, so I have all this gear and shit for VO as well. You don't need the setup I have, but you definitely need a solid microphone and a very good camera. A webcam. I just use 2 webcams. One is the Logitech C920 and one is a Logitech up here. The one up here. The one up here is the Logitech C922, I believe. Both HD cameras. So fine. That's that. And a good lighting setup and stuff. But there's videos online that you can look up and watch all that to figure out the right gear, the simplest gear, all that kind of stuff. I'm not here to, I don't want this to turn into a gear show. But I'm just saying that that's something you have to keep in mind. Keep in mind that your audio is always more important than your video. Always. Okay. And the reason for that is not that you shouldn't have good video. I mean, nobody wants to be uploading, 240p. Okay. I mean, this is not, 2003. But what I'm saying is that if you have, people are more likely to watch you or to listen to you, I guess, if you have subpar video, but great audio. If you have subpar audio, but great video, nobody's tuning in because this is an audio, even though it's YouTube, people will often listen to you like a podcast. They'll have you on their phone in their pocket while they're riding the subway or while they're in a taxi or they'll have you, Bluetooth hooked up to your car or to their car while they're driving to work or, whatever the case is, right? You don't have to watch me to get the information. You do have to listen to me, right? So it's really important that your audio is very good. Now your video's got to be good too, but I'm just saying don't cheap out on the audio part of things. But you can look up gear and all that kind of stuff with other channels. The point for me was basically to say, again, yeah, that support, that brand, find out who you are, why you're doing this, what you bring to the table that's different from everybody else, and set a realistic goal for yourself, which is essentially, I'm going to upload 1 video a week. Just start there. Just start there and do that, and if you feel inspired and something breaks in the news and you want to, I don't know, you want to talk about it, you want to upload a video, well, that's great, right? That's great. But don't set that expectation. Just, set the expectation that I'm going to upload once a week, depending on your schedule, right? Depending on who you are. It's all circumstantial. It's all individual, right? It's sort of I'm just painting a generalization here of the ballpark and sort of what is going to set you on the path of the best probability of success. But if you're not talking about things you're passionate about, then there's just no point. If you just like, hey, I like Halloween. Yeah. I see Dave doing it and Cody doing it and, Wham doing it. So I'm going to get up there and I'm going to start talking about it. Hey, you're entitled to do that. You're entitled to do that. But just know that you're competing. The competition is fierce. That's what it is. The competition was fierce before I came on board, but I knew I had something different to sort of, make my way into the circle and say, hey, what about this? And that's not everybody has that. And I understand that, but it's important to, It's so important, guys. It's just, for all of you who have these channels that are small and you're struggling, ask yourself, why are you struggling? It's probably one of a couple things. It's probably that you're burned out because you're just making videos because you feel you have to, and you're not really passionate about the things you're talking about, but you know you have to create content. So then you start looking for things to talk about. That happened to me a couple of times. And when it started to go that way, I was like, nah, I can't do this. It's about quality, not quantity. Now, listen, you can't make a video once every 6 months and expect to get anywhere. But at the end of the day, your viewers want quality, right? So, that's what it's about. And because if you're uploading one great video, but 6 shitty ones, nobody cares, So, anyways, this video, I guess, has been kind of a tangent, but it's just, I can't express enough how important support is, brand identity is, and being honest with yourself about your expectations. Not a bit of a hiccup there, I think. Let me recite that. I just can't express how important it is that I can't express how important brand identity is, support is, and knowing what you want to talk about and being true to yourself. That you have a passionate interest in this, because that's going to show too, right? I mean, here's the thing that maybe, and take this with a grain of salt, but maybe you are talking about some things but again, this comes back to personality. And not everybody's got the personality for this. There are people that just don't have it. But sometimes your personality, maybe you're more introverted, right? I mean, clearly, as you can see, I'm an extroverted guy. But maybe you're more of an introverted guy or girl or gal, right? Maybe you are. So the thing you would do then is, don't worry about me. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Cody or try to be the guys at Wham or whoever the case is. Be you. And that goes back to the first thing I said there again, is that just be who you are, and your followers. Look, there are people that watch me that don't like me. Now, they don't know me through a hole in the wall. They have no idea, who I am personally, right? But there are people that look at me, look at my personality, doesn't jive with them. So they go watch somebody else whose personality does jive. Maybe I'm too loud. I'm too, right? Oh, fuck's this arrogant son of a bitch. I mean, maybe that's, I get it. I totally get it, right? So then they go and watch somebody else who's a little more subdued, a little more calm, and a little more, hey guys, what's going on? So, Halloween today, but it's more in line with their personality. We could be saying the exact same thing. Me and that guy could be saying the exact same thing, but this person watching is not going to get it from me. They're just going to think, oh, this guy's too loud. It's not going to, so he's going to go off, over to this person. So there's always room for your personality type, but you have to temper your expectations then, right? Unfortunately, in this world of YouTube, I mean, it's entertainment, right? Even YouTube is the business of entertainment, so if you are entertaining, you are more likely to get views, clicks, subs, and engagement. If you are boring and it's like I'm, watching a channel version of, NPR or PBS or something, or some snooze well, it is what it is, right? But yeah, if you feel the burnout, it's more than likely because you're struggling to figure out things to do and talk about, because you're not really passionate about what it is. And then you have to ask yourself, is this really for me? Is this what I'm doing? Am I doing this because I love YouTube and I feel I've got something I can bring to the table? Or am I doing it because, well, they're doing it, it kind of looks like fun, but then I start to realize, holy shit, this is a lot of work. Like, I got to think about what I'm going to talk about. I got to turn on my lights. I got to get a camera. I got to get a backdrop. I got to shoot this. I got to edit this. And if I'm married, I got kids. It's big, man. It's really big. So anyways, this whole fucking video has been a bit of a tangent rant, but there's just so many. I wanted to keep it more compartmentalized than I have here. So I do apologize for anybody in the chat room who is watching, who maybe is like, Dave's bouncing around here. I am bouncing around because there's so many things. They're so everything is linked. Like everything is so important. You know, it's so vitally important that they're so interconnected, right? These things in a lot of cases are mutually exclusive to each other. And I think that's why, you know, I've been kind of bouncing around here a bit. And I'm trying to keep myself on track, but then one thing makes me think of something else, which is so important as well. But yeah, let's see if I can recap here in proper order, although I've tried to recap 10 times already in this video.
Dave, holy shit, what are you doing?
Okay, here we go. Number one, support. Again, right? The support. Number one, if you're in a relationship, you got to have the support from people around you. Number two, brand. What do you bring to the table that is different from everybody else? Or that little thing that you feel that is different, that you're not seeing, you know, who are you? What is your brand? You know, what do you bring to the table? And yeah, what's your brand identity? What's the look of your channel? What's the look of your background? And what you have to say. You know what I mean? You are your brand. Don't forget that. You are the brand. I'm the brand here on the channel, folks, right? You know what I mean? I mean, people might say McRae always wears hoodies and hats. That's part of the brand, isn't it? If you think about it, right? If somebody was to draw me, if an artist in the chat room was to draw me, you know how they draw me? They wouldn't draw me with hair, even though you've seen my hair. They wouldn't draw me with hair. They'd draw me with a hat on, glasses, and probably a hoodie. You know what I'm saying? It's the way it is, you know? Let's see. I'm not suggesting that you put on a costume for you. I mean, this is how I dress. I just like to dress comfortable, but I'm just saying that, you know, ironically, that ends up becoming part of my brand in some ways, right? Even though I have a full head of hair. I like hats. Yeah. And then talk about what you know, right? Talk about what you know. You know, if it's not in your wheelhouse and you're kind of like, oh, I want to, you know, because you see it's a hot button issue, don't talk about what you know. Viewers are not stupid. They can read through it. They want authenticity, right? They want authenticity. They want to feel that you are being authentic, that you're genuine. Maybe you rub them the wrong way. Maybe they don't like your personality, but you know what? What they see is what they get. There's a saying that my father told me years ago. My father was a journalist here in Canada for years. I mean, like I said, I have photos on my wall back here of my dad with the Beatles, Robert Kennedy, Burton Cummings of the Guess Who, Liberace. I have a photo of him and John Candy, Donald Trump, long before Trump was president. My dad's career was amazing. So I grew up in a media family, and sometimes it was hard because my dad was like me, but writing. Even though he was on TV early in his career, and he did have a radio show as well, but he was outspoken. He was controversial, right? My dad could piss you off one moment, like, fucking Earl McRae, man. Jesus fucking Christ, that little fuck. And then the next day in the paper, you read his column and he's making you cry because he's writing some profound, unbelievable thing. Like, my dad was an amazing writer, but he knew how to stir the pot. Let's just say that. But I remember years ago in the 90s, and people tuning in who are not new to my channel have heard me say this before, but it's a truth that I take. In the mid-90s, well, the internet was around, but people were still writing letters, per se, and my dad used to get a lot of angry letters. He'd come back from, you know, he'd get all these letters and stuff. And I asked my dad, I said, how do you handle that? I mean, it's the 1994 version of, you know, like YouTube comments, right? And I asked my dad, I said, how do you handle this? Like, you got an angry letter here. And he says, I don't let it bother me. He says, because they don't know me. What they're saying is not that I don't like you. They're saying, I don't like what you wrote. You know, because they don't know my father. They don't know my father, you know, what an incredible dad he was, what an incredible, he basically created something called the Elvis Sighting Society. My dad was a big Elvis fan, which, and the shtick of it was that Elvis, you know, is alive and well and he's out there and blah, 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 right? That's the shtick. But really, it was a charity, and it raised, I forget how much money it raised, millions of dollars for local, charities, and my dad was the founder of that, and all these things, right? I mean, my dad did so much good, but you know, it's part of his brand, right? Part of his little shtick, you know. But my dad said, so that's one thing, and he said, and then the other thing is that it's not whether they like you or hate you, it's, are they reading you? You know, that's the question. The question is not, do you like me or hate me? The question is, are you reading me? And they are. And because people love to read it, you know, and I take the same sort of attitude to this, you know, in the sense of, I mean, there are people that will leave nasty YouTube comments, but I know those people are watching my next video, you know, and it's just because they can't not, you know, so, and that only benefits me, not them. So I take the same sort of approach. I have a little bit of my father in me. What you see is what you get. I'm being real. I'm not putting on an act, but I certainly do like to I like to talk about things that not a lot of people like to talk about, or mention, or maybe are too afraid to, because I like to go there, because I think it's important. And, so the point of the story is, which is number 3 or 4 here, is don't worry about what other people think, because you're never going to please everybody. You're just not. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for the clicks. Don't do it for the views. I mean, obviously you're doing it for that, and to some degree, because you want people to watch you, but that's not your main motivation. Your main motivation is, I have this burning desire in me to talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. I need to talk about this. And whether people tune in or not is just great. It's just, I need to get this out. That's what I should have said like an hour ago. I need to get this out. That was like me and Halloween, and why my girlfriend was like, you need to stop talking to me and you got to go talk to them. You got to get out there and just put it out there, man. I'm like, fuck, you're right. Hey, anybody want to talk Halloween? I mean, that's kind of what it was like, you know what I mean? Because I felt like I had something to say, and that's got to be like that for you. You know, don't copy what other people are doing. That's so important. And then, and of course that gets in line with the subs and all that kind of stuff. And be realistic. Be realistic with your goals, you know, just be realistic, you know, because the last thing you want to do is have burnout. So, and burnout, like I said, usually comes when you are struggling to find something to talk about because you feel there's an expectation that you need to be uploading and competing with everybody else. Listen, Cody Leach, Drum Dums, Wham, Wolfman Scott, they were light years ahead of me. Wham is still light years ahead of everybody else because they got, I think, over 100,000 subs now. But these guys were all light years ahead of me. I didn't care. I had like 800 subs. I didn't care. I just got on and I just started talking. Just started talking about my passions. And I think people see that. I think people see that that the passion is genuine. And I think that, I'd like to think that's why people tune in as well. So be true to yourself. Talk about what you know. Get that support. If you're single, then maybe it's not a big deal. And don't worry about what people think. Don't worry about the views. Just do it for you. Do it for you, you know? And people will come. People will come. And then you'll start to build a community. But keep in mind that the reality of it is this is entertainment. And if you and I hate to say this, but if you have, you know, the personality of a turnip, I mean, you know, it might be an uphill battle for you. Obviously, those who are engaging with personalities, it always comes easier. But it's not like it's not just like that with this. It's like that in acting, right? Hey, hate to say it, but good-looking people have an upper hand, right? You know, I mean, it's the way it is, you know. So you just have to keep that in mind as well. Anyway, I'll take any questions you have on that. Hopefully, I know this is a big rant. I might actually change this in the title to rant because I was hoping to keep it a little more compartmentalized, but unfortunately, I was unable to do that. But those are the gists of the things that you have to keep in mind when approaching doing a YouTube channel and talking about your favorite stuff. You know what I mean? Because you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. Don't try to copy anybody else. Just do what you do and do it well. Intel Wild sends in a super chat and says, Dave, love all of your content. Keep them coming, buddy. Keep them coming, buddy. I will definitely do that. Thank you so much for the support to the channel. I really appreciate that very much. Just looking over to make sure that was the only super chat, as I've been missing a few, or they haven't been showing up a few, which is strange. Smith's Grove says Slash and Cast are great. Yeah, I haven't checked out. I'm not familiar with their stuff, but definitely I've heard of them, and I heard that they are good. So that is always, that's always good for sure. Absolutely. The Flick Lab podcast says, agree, Dave. Thank you, and keep going. Yeah, no problem, man. I think there's just a lot of people that that they see everybody else, and it's don't compare yourself to everybody. When I was beginning, when I say beginning, I don't mean back in, like I said, I've had this channel since 2006, but when I was starting to really do this in 2017, I didn't care. I mean, at that time, I think I was at 800 subs. And I think Cody was at 18 or something, 15,000. The guys at Wham were at 40. They were at 40. The guys at Wham were 20,000 more than I am now 3 years ago. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I didn't care. I didn't care about that. I didn't care if I ended up if I didn't gain any subs. I just needed to express it and get it off my chest. It's like when you have to write something down so you can just kind of put it out there. That's how passionately I felt about it. That's not necessarily how everybody feels about it, but that's how you got to be, man. That's how you got to be, because then it's genuine, right? And you don't care about the view. The views will come, man. If you're genuine and you're passionate and you're authentic, the views will come. They'll come, 100%. Home Slice Slices says that's true art form. Well, yeah, that too. That's a good point too. Well, because see, look, there are a lot, and there's, like I said at the beginning of the stream, the last thing YouTube needs is another YouTube channel. They don't need you. They don't need you. They don't need another YouTube channel, I should say, because they have so many. And unfortunately, the reality is, listen, there are people I'm talking to right now who are paying attention that are, don't have it. I would never say don't do it. I would never say that. I would never say, don't, if you want to create a YouTube channel, go ahead. But, are there people out there that attempt to do this and fail? Yes. And do they fail because they have the, personality of a turnip? Yes. 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 They're not engaging. They're boring. They lack charisma. They lack knowledge. They do it because they just they think it looks fun. Yes. Yes. Trust me. It's all across, I see it in voiceover. I've taught, voiceover. I've seen people come in that I look at and I go, I will never, ever see you doing voiceover, but hey, they're there. Right. And they're trying and they're doing their best, but it's the reality. Some people are going to make it. Some people aren't. So it's important, very, very important. I'm not trying, I know that's not a nice thing to say, but it's the reality. I mean, don't shoot the messenger. This is the reality. I mean, what am I supposed to say? That everybody's going to make it? Everybody's got the personality of Howard Stern? I mean, come on. No. Am I, of course not. Of course not. It's just, it's the entertainment business. I mean, we don't think of YouTube as the entertainment business, but it is, for all intents and purposes, a subgenre, if you want to use a movie term, of the entertainment industry. It's become that. I mean, it is more people watch. I mean, people are canceling their cable subscriptions and just doing YouTube. I mean, it is what it is. And, we're called YouTube personalities, which I just think sounds so silly. But I mean, there's even titles: YouTube celebrity, YouTube personality, YouTube. I mean, it's entertainment, man. It's entertainment. And, if you don't have it, but hey, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. These are just things that I try to plant in the minds of people who are attempting to do it, whether you're extremely talented and engaging or not, to just remember, right? To remember that these are things you got to think about. It's tough work. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of work. Obi-Wan Kenobi is here. Holy crap. Says, hey Dave, you saw the recent Halloween fan game that had just came out? I did see a few clips of it. I think there's a lot of potential there, but it doesn't interest me. I think it looks too, funky and kind of awkward. And I like the idea of it. In a hospital at night, being one of the characters, trying to survive Michael and things like that. But I think there needs to, I mean, again, it's just, it's an example. It's in its infancy, right? It's just but unfortunately it was hard for me to sort of get excited about because, it just looks like something I would have played on a computer in, 2000, like Doom or something. It just was very sort of, limited. And Michael, I didn't like the look of him, and Lori, I guess, was always doing this, you know, running around. And it was just, I think the premise is interesting, but and my hat goes off to what the individual did, because I certainly couldn't do that. And it's cool. Like, it's cool in its own right. But beyond that, I didn't play it or anything. I don't care to do that, because I can watch somebody else play it for 5 minutes and go, okay, yeah, I get it. That's it. Like that, I get what this is. So video games are so above and beyond, you know, they're so deep and layered and just, I mean, they're cinematic experiences now, that when you see something as rudimentary as the Halloween game, it's exciting on a level of, oh, we don't have a Halloween game per se. Wow, how cool would this be? It's exciting from that perspective. But then, because the video game, I mean, if this example had come out 20 years ago, people be losing their fucking minds, because that was video games 20 years ago. Now, you know, you look at it's kind of like, this looks like a demo version of a game I would have played in 2002. You know what I mean? Like, it feels, or 1999 on my PC, like after I played Doom. You know, it kind of feels like that a little bit, and because it's very sort of limited. But I like the idea, and my hat goes off to the creator that created it, because, you know, it looks pretty cool. You know, it looks really cool, and I certainly couldn't do that. So don't misunderstand. Like, I'm not saying it's crap. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, beyond the premise and the idea, didn't really hit me. But I think that's just because of, you know, where we are. Vanderhoff66FU says, hey Dave, glad you got the hat I sent you. It matches your fright rags. Yes, it does, buddy. I made a post on my Facebook and in the community section here on YouTube, and I thanked you personally. So you can check that out when you have some time. Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. I picked it up yesterday, and I opened it up, and I thought, oh, this is so awesome. Thank you so much, man. That's just, yeah, and you're right. It goes with my Halloween. I'm all ready to go. Whenever, if I ever get invited to a horror convention, if I ever get invited to a Halloween convention, if I ever just go to a convention on my own again, I am all prepared. You will not miss me. Just look for the guy decked out in Halloween gear. That's funny stuff. Let me see here. Didn't miss any super chats, did I? No, I got that one. Okay, cool. Jonathan Ball says, have you heard of Scares That Care? Horror icons help sick kids, etc. No, I haven't, but that's a great idea. Man, that's a great idea. That's a really good idea. That is. I'm all for shit. Like, we have as most, I think, major cities do have children's hospitals, obviously. But we have a world renowned one here in Toronto called Sick Kids Hospital. And I gotta say, I've never been there. I might have gone there when I was a kid. Maybe I had the flu or something. I don't know. But you know what? Look, I mean, yeah, that's tough, man. To see kids that are sick and terminally ill too. You know, I mean, nobody wants to get terminally ill, obviously. But when you see children that are like, you know, 5 and 6 and younger, 7, 8, 10, boys, girls, you know, nobody asks to get cancer or, you know, whatever the case is, but they're so young, you know, they're so young, and they're supposed to have their lives ahead of them. They're supposed to have their lives ahead of them, you know, and it just disgusts me that, yeah, it breaks my heart. It does. And so something like that, I think is awesome. That's awesome. That's really, really cool, man. Really, really cool. And there's other things like that as well. There's like, you know, Make-A-Wish Foundation and all that kind of stuff. And that's really awesome, man. Really awesome. 3B Video says, Joe Ripple runs Scares and Care. Used to work with Don Doler. Am I saying that right? B-movie director. They rule for sure. Fucking hat goes off to them, man. Maybe I should get them on. You know what? Maybe I'll reach out to them at some point and do an interview with them, because I like hearing that kind of stuff. That gets you in the feels. Good heart stuff right there. Let me see. Justin Simison. Hey Dave, I was curious what program you write your It's Me Billy script on. I use the screenwriting software Movie Magic Screenwriter. Now, can you write a a screenplay in Word, you can, but you have to then always remember to properly format as you go along. The reason why most professional screenwriters, I'm not a professional, but the reason why most professional screenwriters use screenwriting software, whether it's Movie Magic, Final Draft, there's a slew of them, is because it automatically is set up to format your script correctly. So when you hit, like, for example, when you hit tab or enter or, whatever to go to the next line, it knows that, well, now it knows what you're going to do. It's intuitive that way. And if like, for example, if I'm writing action and then on the next line, I'm going to write dialogue because let's say somebody is going to, thought that was my cat coming in. Somebody's going to say something, right? Then what'll happen is like in Word, I would hit enter to go to the next line, and then I'd have to hit tab, over, and then make sure I'm like, in the center of the page and all that kind of stuff. With the softwares, you hit enter to go to the next line, but then you might just hit enter again or tab once, and it automatically sets it up, lines it up, everything's perfect, it's formatted. It'll never be not centered. It's always the right font. You can add camera, you can add camera notes, director notes, and it's properly formatted in the right format and all that kind of stuff. So it's easier. And so that when you have to know what that format is. So I suggest learning about that first. But when you purchase the software and you use it, it automatically formats everything correctly for you as you go. So that's really important. Now, what the software won't teach you and what is really important when you're writing a script is writing a screenplay is generally, it doesn't mean you can't deviate from this a little bit depending on what the action is, but generally speaking, 98% of the time, writing a screenplay is show, don't tell, right? So it's very different than writing a novel. It's not a once upon a time type thing. It's very in the moment as the action is happening right then and there. So you're showing, not telling. So I'm trying to think of an example, but it would be like you wouldn't say something like, I got to think of an example. I don't want to take the time here because we're live. Anyway, yeah, just remember that. Do your due diligence. Learn about that kind of stuff. Learn that dialogue is also, it has to be very conversational, right? You heard me say this on a stream a couple of, I guess it was last week or whatever, that if you are writing dialogue, instinctually, we might want to say something like, the character says, I'm going to go to the store, but nobody says that. Now that's proper grammar, right? I'm going, G-O-I-N-G, I'm going to go to the store. That's proper grammar, but that's not how we talk, right? If you were going to tell me you were going to go to the store, you would say, hey man, I'm just going to go to the store. I'm gonna, shoulda, woulda, you know what I mean? And you often see those things in dialogue because it's conversational. It helps the actor read that and it makes sense, right? So those are little nuances and, details that that you got to learn about. You have to learn about the format, the proper sort of how to write a script and things like that. But that software, whether it's Movie Magic, Final Draft, Final Cut's the editing software. It will help you keep those things properly formatted. It won't help you keep dialogue conversational, but it will definitely help you keep everything properly formatted. So that's what I would do anyway. That's the software I use is Movie Magic Screenwriter. Let me see. Super chat from Chris Baber, my man. Chris says, my 6-year-old is obsessed with watching YouTube videos of people playing video games. She also wants to start her own channel. What the actual F? Oh, your daughter is adorable. Just so you know, Chris, absolutely adorable. I think she's just a gem. That is so cute. That is cute. Hey man, it's these kids, right? I mean, they see this and they want to, I think, I don't know. She might be a little young to start her own YouTube channel, but who knows? Maybe in another 10 years, who knows where YouTube will be in another 10 years, right? But maybe she'll be rocking it. Maybe she'll be this amazing video game player and making millions and millions of dollars. You never know. That's funny though. That's cute, man. That's really cute. Sega rocked, Chris Baber says. Yeah, Sega was awesome. Nintendo was awesome. I remember Atari. You guys remember Atari? Now, I was a little young to be in Atari's heyday, but see, I was born in 79. So, 80, Nintendo was 85, I think. Atari was before that. There was also something called Intellivision. I was very young. I was about 3 or 4 when I was playing Atari, but I remember playing Atari. Pitfall and Pac-Man, and I remember because my older brothers had it. So I remember that. Yeah, good old Atari, man. And Sega, loved Sega. I had a Sega. I was a Sega. When everybody was Nintendo. Everybody had a Nintendo. And then in the early 90s, it was Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. And you had your kids who were Super Nintendo, but then you had your kids who were Sega Genesis. Sega! I was Sega Genesis guy. Primarily because of the hockey game. The hockey game, NHL Hockey from EA Sports on Sega, was amazing. It was the best hockey game of all time. So that was really the primary reason why I got a Sega Genesis way back in the day. Lauren Downing says, I still have my original Nintendo Entertainment System and several games. That is cool. I wish I had my original Nintendo, but you know, to this day, I still remember the code to get to Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch. So if anybody, are we back? We're back. There's a bit of a hiccup there. We're back. That's all right. If anybody has Mike Tyson's Punch Out and wants to skip all the people and they don't know the code, I know it off by heart to this day. 007-373-5963. Let me say that again. 007-373-5963. If you punch that into the beginning of Mike Tyson's Punch Out, you'll just go right to Mike Tyson. I still remember it to this day. Incredible. Super chat from Frank Riker says, it's my birthday. Can I get a song in Loomis voice? Oh, it is your birthday. I remember you saying that last week. Happy birthday, Frank. Hey, happy birthday to Frank Riker. Awesome stuff. All right. Happy birthday to you. Fuck. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Frank. I tried to shoot him 6 times. Happy birthday to you. Here, I'm going to take a shot from Frank. A shot of water. Here it is right here, folks. Welcome to the shit show. Frank, this is for you, buddy. Of course, I'm doing this now. Everybody who has a birthday will watch this and expect me to do a shot for them. I'll be doing it 5 times every video. Cheers to Frank, even though that was nothing but water. But hey, it does the trick. It does the trick. Oh, my man. Happy birthday, Frank. Frank turns 15 today, folks. 15. No, I'm just kidding. Chris Baber sends in a super chat to the channel. Happy birthday, Frank Riker. Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. Awesome, man. Awesome stuff. Let's see. Holly Klein is laughing. It was 7 times. It was 7 times. Well, yeah, if you include, it was. In Halloween 2, I believe it was 7, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that is funny. That is funny. Excuse me, that's Whiskey Loomis. That's right. Fucking happy birthday. Dr. Loomis, are you all right? Somebody get Loomis a pill. Vegas Courier says, I have a few systems that aren't as popular anymore. I bet. Obi-Wan Kenobi says, favorite Star Wars movie? Are you original, prequel, or sequel kind of guy? Thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker? Obi-Wan, you must, if that's a question for me, Obi-Wan, you must be new to the channel, my friend. It would be very difficult for me to go into great detail on any of those questions. But let me just say that, yes, I am a Star Wars guy. I am not a prequel guy. I didn't mind. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, thought The Last Jedi was a shit show, and really enjoyed The Rise of Skywalker for what it was, because I think it could only be that considering what came before it. But I am definitely an original trilogy guy, because obviously being a 40-year-old man, that was the trilogy I grew up with. So if you want to know my thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker in great detail, go to my channel, or just type Dave McRae. Actually, no, I believe I have, if you go to my channel, I think I have a playlist down below where I give my thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker. So hopefully that helps, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. Lee Bauer says, imagine Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers both at a bar drinking whiskey, having a good time. Well, I don't know. I mean, I can imagine Dr. Loomis.
Fucking Michael, say something! Say it! Say it now, you son of a bitch!
He doesn't say anything. He just looks like those masks back there. Frank Riker super chat 48 times with an Uzi. Oh, man. I got it. You know what? Maybe I will do my own video on that. You know, I might do my own video on that today. Maybe I will. Frank, you've inspired me. Sarah Carter, is it? Is Sarah Carter in the chat room? Is she watching? Is it Carter? It's not Connor. I think it's Carter. Sarah commented on one of my videos, or on the stream yesterday, talking about that, saying how funny it was. So I think I might just do a video today where I just walk through that process and just have fun with it. Just be crazy and wild and fun and upload it. I might do it. I can't guarantee anything, so don't hold my feet to the fire on that, but I might do it. I might. Let's see. Amar Alagic, am I saying that correctly? Lee says, another Halloween Kills is coming in February. Can't wait. Love all of you. Oh, well, it might not be till March, actually, because we're trying to coordinate all of our schedules. And of course, between Lee and myself and Mike and Jay at Wham and Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards, and of course, Jimmy from Jimmy Champagne, it's a lot of people to coordinate. So from what I'm seeing on Twitter, because we've chatted back and forth to each other in personal messages, I think it's been pushed to March, potentially. We're trying to coordinate our schedules. But it's coming. Don't worry, it is coming. Super chat comes in from Eddie Greens 101. Says, hey, Dave, looking forward to getting you on the podcast next Saturday. This episode has been terrific. Yes, I'll be on Eddie Green's podcast next Saturday. I don't know if it's live or not, Eddie, or if you post it on your channel afterwards or on your podcast channel afterwards. I'm not sure how you handle that, but yes, I will be on your podcast next Saturday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Dave!
Dave's on crack, ladies and gentlemen. Dave is on crack. Let me see. Vegas Courier says some social media posts say that reviews so far for the H-Kills test screening are pretty good. Yes, and you know what? They mean fuck all. I mean, look, psychologically, obviously, you always like to hear that things are being well received. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. Because we're still almost 8-9 months away from the release of the film. Things can change. And also, we've heard this story before. Oh, they've done it. No, they did do it this. Oh, no, this time they did. We've heard this thousands of times before with 1,000 other things. So it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, listen, you always like to hear, hey, test screenings got positive reviews. Okay, well, that's good. Nobody wants to hear that things were poorly received. But at the end of the day, it's still a crapshoot. It's still a crapshoot. I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? So there's nothing. I've read a few. Somebody sent me a thing with somebody who said, I know I've signed an NDA, but here's my, general thoughts. I'm thinking, well, I know I'm not supposed to say anything. Then don't fucking say anything if you know you're not supposed to say anything.
Yeah, but it's gonna get likes. I'm gonna be popular, man.
Anyway, obviously it's always good to hear positive things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. Test screenings from Halloween 2018 got positive reviews as well.
But they changed the ending.
Well, yes, but it really got, it was like, this is it. We've gone back to the roots. Oh, this is the best since the original. It's the best since the best. Judge it in October. Smith's Grove says, Dave, if you could recommend a good, reasonably priced mic for YouTube, what would it be? Well, if you're first starting out, I would say, now I am not familiar with those Blue Yeti mics. I know they're extremely popular. The mic that I was using here before this mic, this is a XLR mic. It's a Shure SMB27. It's the same mic that, you see on tons of podcasts. But this is like a $400 or $500 mic. And you need, well, you don't need phantom power because it's a dynamic mic and not a condenser microphone. But anyway, that's, gear jargon aside. If you're first starting out, the mic that I had here before this one was a condenser microphone. It was a USB condenser mic called the Audio-Technica 2020 Plus. And it's just plug and play. Like, you don't need a preamp, you don't need a mixer, you don't need any other third-party, gear. You just take it, it's USB, you plug it into your computer, and away you go. So that's probably, if you're first beginning, that's probably the way you might want to go, because if you're not a gear person, if you're not an audio guy, if you don't understand how, audio, that's probably your best bet. That's why you see a lot and I believe the Blue Yeti, which you can get for $100 and something bucks, I think, maybe even a bit cheaper on Amazon, I'm not sure. I think that's USB as well. And that's just plug and play. So that would be my advice. It's just something that is from Audio-Technica or Blue Yeti or something. I don't have any experience with Blue Yeti. I don't know really if, but mine was an Audio-Technica 2020 Plus. I'm an Audio-Technica guy. I like their gear. Obviously, I have Audio-Technica headphones. I have an Audio-Technica 4050 condenser mic in my booth over there, which I use for my voiceovers and things like that. But they're higher end. But yeah, plug and play, USB condenser mic. I was using the Audio-Technica 2020 Plus. If they still sell it, I'm not sure. You might be able to get it for $100 and something bucks, But don't cheap out on it, man. Don't don't use one of those old computer mics or a dynamic singing mic where you're hearing pop. Don't do that, okay? Okay, just don't. Audio is so important. Don't sacrifice on audio. Let me see. Hope I didn't miss any super chats here. Just want to make sure. I don't believe I did. It's 12:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, January 31st. Hard to believe tomorrow is February 1st. And tomorrow, Bruce and I are heading out to do our first location scout for It's Me, Billy. Very excited. Can't tell you anything about it yet, but our fingers are crossed. Let's just put it that way. Our fingers are crossed. Let me see. See, I love that you guys are talking to each other. That's how we build community. You don't just talk to me. Fuck me. Who cares, man? You come here for your friends, your cyber friends. I love it. It's fantastic. I am the best, 237. Oh, you think you're the best? You think you're the best? You think you're the best, 237? I don't fucking think so. I don't think so. I am the best, 237 says, as much as I like Halloween, I'm looking forward to the new Saw movie a lot more. Really? Interesting. Well, you know what? I commend you for being confident and proud enough to say that. I am not. I lost interest in Saw about 15 years ago after the end of the first movie. I couldn't care less if they make another one or not. The first Saw I thought was fantastic. I saw Saw 2 and I thought that was kind of fun and funky because they took it up a notch. But I just don't care. I'm not interested in the Jigsaw character. I just think he's run its course. I think it's lame. I just don't believe in these movies anymore, and I just think they're garbage. So now I know that this is a reboot remake, and Chris Rock obviously is attached to it, which is ironic on so many levels, and maybe it will be great. Maybe it will. But my interest level in it, no. But my interest level in Halloween Kills is not like through the roof or anything. I'm a Halloween guy, so I'll always be interested in anything Halloween, no matter what, right? But we'll see. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing that first teaser trailer. Or trailer and a little more of the marketing and I don't know, man. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Lauren Downing says, did Cecil make whatever announcement about Dylan's new nightmare he was talking about last week? He said he couldn't say anything other. Oh, no. No, I know what it is, or what he was hoping for, but I haven't heard. I imagine that I would have heard. It's that big. Now it's not Heather Langenkamp, okay, but it's not that kind of thing. But it's a big thing that would be really cool. And I know that if he had heard, there is no doubt in my mind that he would have let us know. So I haven't heard anything, which tells me that he probably hasn't heard anything. So my fingers are still crossed for that. Jonathan Ball says, anyone see Satan's Little Helper, a fun Halloween night movie? No, I haven't, although I have heard of it. I'll have to check that out. Oliver Mercer says, hey, Dave, will you be having your buddy Bruce on at any time soon for a live? Yes, absolutely I will. It's hard to get Bruce on because obviously Bruce is a very busy guy working in the film industry. He's the national manager of education and training at William F. White International here in Toronto, which is the Canada's largest distributor of motion picture and television and theatrical equipment. It's a lighting and grip place. So it's where you go to get all your lights and your gear, and you can rent cameras there as well. They have a camera department, and and you can rent cranes, and you can rent the all sorts of shit. I mean, it's where Hollywood goes essentially. There are other places, but it's one of the places that Hollywood goes when they come up to shoot up here in Toronto and in Vancouver and all that kind of jazz. So Bruce is the manager of education and training there. He's been at White's for years now. White's is where we're going to go, obviously, to rent our gear for It's Me, Billy. It makes perfect sense. And he's a busy dude. So obviously he is working 9 to 5. So it's hard to get him. I would love to get him on McRae Live, but of course I do this at 11 in the morning, and he's busy doing his thing. So, but yes, definitely Bruce will be on the channel soon. I will get him on the channel. We're definitely going to talk about It's Me, Billy. We're going to be doing all sorts of stuff. And we're obviously, when the Indiegogo campaign launches for It's Me, Billy, we're hoping to launch it sometime in April, hopefully. We will also be doing we're going to see if we can do like an It's Me, Billy live stream-a-thon where we also, because we're trying to raise as much money as possible, right? So we might do an It's Me, Billy-a-thon where I get Bruce on here and we take nothing but super chats. Now, I will obviously go back to the regular answering super chats and everybody, but just for that particular It's Me Billy-a-thon, we hope people will, help us to raise money for the movie. So, but that will probably come in March or April or something to that effect as well. Like, we're going to figure out many different ways to try and help raise funds for the project, because like I said, although we've yet to do up the production budget, we're almost ready to do that because we're doing everything else in terms of the shot list and all that kind of stuff first. But ballparking it, we're probably looking at raising about 40,000. So, in order for It's Me, Billy to be a reality, the reality we want, that's sort of the minimum that we're hoping to raise. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? We'll cross we'll cross those bridges, I should say, in the next few months. But yes, Bruce is definitely going to be on here in the very near future. Okay. Swifty the Gamer says The Mighty Ducks is the greatest achievement in the history of filmmaking. The Mighty Ducks is the greatest fucking movie in the history of mankind. There is no other movie better than The Mighty Ducks. I'm telling you, it's fucking amazing. Blu-ray Addict says, I have a few thousand movies on Blu-ray and DVD. A few thousand movies on Blu-ray and DVD. That is amazing, man. That is amazing. Holy snapping crap. Home Slice Slices says that Mighty Ducks was good. It was back in 90, was it 2 or 3, something like that. It was a long time ago, that's for sure. Yep, for sure. All right, we'll go for a few more minutes here, and then we'll call it a day here on episode 12 of McRae Live. Duke Fleed says, hey, Dave, what's your favorite movie of all time? That's tough. It's tough. It's tough to pick one. I mean, they're like my children. But I will say, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love Empire, obviously. I love The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile. I I mean, I love Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, The Bridge on the River Kwai, All About Eve. There's just so many. I know some people are probably like, not Halloween. Well, Halloween's my favorite horror movie of all time, but Halloween's not my favorite movie of all time. Not even close, actually. It'd be my top, probably my top 20, maybe my top 10, but it's not. I don't think it's in my top 5. Although as much as I really do love it. It's hard to pick, man. That's a great question, but that's one of those how do you pick it, man? I mean, it's just so unbelievable. Jason Wiley says, Dave, will you do any fan films that aren't horror or slasher related? Would be fun to see you tackle comedy or drama. Probably not fan films. I would love to do a more original piece that isn't connected to anything, of course. Like I am in, I've been in, it's been in development hell for essentially 20 years, which is a feature-length film about my second year of college, which not about my second year of college. It's about something that happened in my second year of college, and it's a supernatural film. But it's a very mature, it's not a horror film. It's a very mature sort of mystery drama. And it's based on true events. So the script is pretty much written, and I've been in development hell on that for years and years and years, because that's a film that's a big film. So I would love to do that. And ironically enough, although It's Me, Billy is a fan film for all intents and purposes, the whole production so far, it doesn't feel like it's a fan film. It actually feels more original than not, because we have written an original story and with potential. So it actually, although it is a fan film, it doesn't feel like one. It doesn't feel like a fan film like in the ways that Halloween does. Do you know what I mean? It feels very different. So it is almost original in some ways. But I wouldn't, in terms of other fan film properties, I would love to do an Elm Street. But then I got hired to be Freddy Krueger in our what could be an incredible Elm Street fan film. So I'm like, well, that's even better. I wasn't going to play Freddy. I just wanted to make one, but hey, I got asked to play him. So I'm like, all right, I'm down. Shane Hess says, do you think the digitally altered Michael Myers mask in that little teaser we got back in October, do you think they digitally altered the Michael Myers mask in that little teaser we got back in October so we don't see what the mask looks like post-fire? No, I don't. I don't think at all. I think that is just what the mask looks like. No. I think the probability is high that he just got out unscathed. That's what I think it's going to be. I could be wrong, but I will be stunned if the movie comes out and all of a sudden his mask is all melted and hair, and that doesn't make that I don't think so, because I don't think there'd be any reason to do it. If you're going to show as much as you did, you can just show it in a quick flash, and I mean, maybe there's always a chance, right, buddy? But I doubt it. I don't think that would be the case at all. Let's see. Gary Rangel says, how's the update on Dylan's new Nightmare? When's the release? Gary, I love you. Gary, I love you, man. Gary's the kind of guy that comes in, listens, checks out for a couple of months, and then comes back in and says, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Gary, we are shooting Dylan's new Nightmare at the end of May. The movie will probably not be released until the end of the year. That's all I know. I'm not a producer on the movie. I'm just an actor, so I'm not privy to the fine day-to-day details, nor should I be? I mean, I'm just a hired hand here as an actor. So I know when Cecil tells me things. So I do know that we are shooting. My flight is booked. I'm flying to Phoenix on the 25th of May, the day after my 41st birthday, and we are shooting all that week, May 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and then I'm returning back to Toronto on May 30th. So that's when they're shooting, and then the film will go into post-production after that, and we'll be in post-production throughout the summer. And then obviously gearing up, I would imagine, for maybe a Halloween, November, something like that release. But that's purely speculation on my part in terms of when they want to release it. That will be up to Cecil and Vince and the producers and things like that. So I'm not sure. But yes, that's all I got. That's all I got. Chris Baber, super chat. Thanks, buddy. Big shout out. Also, James Jude Courtney's B-Day. Is it James Jude Courtney's birthday today as well? Well, that's Frank Riker. You share a birthday with James Jude Courtney. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. I'm surprised I haven't seen any posts about that. But I've been busy doing the show the last hour and a half, so maybe I now will see posts about that. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. Very cool. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me on episode 12 of McRae Live. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the super chats as well. I think you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for this, and thanks for, humoring me while I give sort of a bit of a rant about YouTube and some advice and no bullshit advice and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't as compartmentalized and as structured as I wanted it to be because I just got yapping because I was so passionate about it. I want people out there to understand that just put yourself out there, do the best you can, and let the chips fall where they may. But there are certain things you do have to keep in mind if you're serious about it. And if you want to know what those are, go back and watch the beginning of this video. Now, I bounce around a lot in the video, so I do apologize for that, but I just was so fired up about it, and hopefully somewhere in there I made fucking sense. Hopefully. But anyway, yeah, so my name is Dave McRae. I will be back on, I might have a funny video coming later today, maybe, maybe, I don't know. But I definitely will be back this coming Monday. That's right, Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 50. God, I keep forgetting what we're at now, 55 or something, of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Tony and I will be watching. I won't tell you. I'll put it up this weekend. That's when you'll know. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a fan favorite. Ooh, what's that going to be? A fan favorite. But yeah, that's Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in the meantime and in between time, I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty. Cheers.